Hi, it's Skycat Live. It's Saturday night. It's February 17, 2024. Today we'll be playing some Fallout 76 and some Final Fantasy 11. And it is going to be a shorter session as I did 6 hours of Fortnite while I jammed out to music today. So going to be a half day on the recording schedule because, yeah, I did do 6 hours of a stream already today. So, yeah, and that's all I have for you guys. Gonna get off the big screen here. Big face, deactivate, video capture, activate. And we're just gonna get straight to the game. Straight to the games. Gotta load the other game, I forgot. Okay, we're in, and gonna worry about titles now. Fallout 76, FFXI Horizon, very good. And we'll come to the YouTube unhandled exception. Uh-oh, cancel. That's okay. And then we'll go public. No, public, done. Save, and yeah, I believe that's good. And then yeah, we're going live, and then reload. Oh no, that is not what I wanted. I wanted to reload, and I should see my channel, but I don't. Reload, and I should see my channel. Why don't I see my channel? I should see my channel. There it is. There it is. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure everything's good here. Gonna worry about. Okay, and oh yeah, and then I turned the mic down, but I wish to turn the sound back up. Okay, and then I guess I'll go out now. How's my inventory? It's fine. That's good. There we go. So I am really not too. I'm really not in a very good place in terms of mobs. I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of like the wrong direction for leveling. I think I'll go back to the Blue Ridge bunkhouse. Yeah. Ooh, Starlight Cobbler. I think that's, oh no, that's endurance, is it? Oh well, that's okay. Signet. Oregon Cave, huh? Okay, I need Signet. How did I end up here? Seems weird. How did I end up there? Oh, because I was going back. Yeah, nice. Promethean Hala, looking for members, summoner, black mage, and have animals. Promethean Hala is the one I might need. I can't remember. It's like missions. Promathia, the mother crystals. Right, the remaining crags, which are... I need Dem. Sooner or later I'll see one. It's weird because... Oh yeah, no, that is the music from inside a cave, yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm going to Valdunia, yeah. Yeah, we're doing good. We're gonna get a session. I am stunned. I can't do anything. Oh my god. Yep, dead. Nuclear sucks, kind of. Yeah. Ouch. One shot and I'm like fucking stunned. It's like so stupid. How did you miss that 70? How are you missing these shots? Oh, damn it, man. I've never understood that about this. You miss 96s all the time. How'd you miss the 95%? How'd you miss it? Oh, damn it, you're annoying. Oh. No ammo. Now I'm dead. Wow. Oh my god. Great. Mostly just hurt me. Great. Fucking dick. Nice. Wait, I'm out of stim packs, I guess. Am I? No. Oh, how many tigers do I have? Son of a bitch, that was the last one. I came here too early and it's gonna cost me $2 grand. Fucking annoying to me. Oh, 1600 gil. 1600 gil, fine. Just do it. That is too much. know, I'd like to take a... Oh, my god. Well, I keep bumping my fucking table leg all the time I do that. Fuck, I was hoping for a weapons bench. They don't have one here, I don't think. Oh, I had to come back here? Yeah, I did, but I have to go to the auction house. Damn it. I hate coming through here again. Damn, I can't believe I had to spend money on that. That's so stupid. Flying Tigers is gonna break me. No, it'll be a fourth of my liquid. Like, this place was cool, but I don't want to go any deeper. If it gets worse, it'll suck. But it was good sojourn into the cave. It was educational. This mode is good. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot about the world and really makes it feel different because everything's all fucking blue. I want to make like a automatic 9mm or 10mm. I need gunsmith rank 2, which is like a fuck up I didn't realize, and now I don't have it. I need gunsmith, damn it. That'll be 2 levels. Six rounds in this thing. It's weird how much I like this game so much more than like Starfield or even like Skyrim. I should have grenaded him. Bullet sponge one-shots, bullet sponge one-shots. I don't know why I do it to myself. Bullet sponge one-shots, bullet sponge one-shots. Why do I do it to myself? I have to hit them 96 times to get a kill. They've only got to hit me once. And I mean it like it might take 96 hits. I'm serious. And if it hit me once, I die. And in Bethesda's brain, this equals combat. And it's not just Bethesda, it's every game out there. Bullet, sponge, and one-shots. Bullet, sponge, and PCs who one-shot you. Bullet, sponge, NPCs. I can't find my body. Where are you? You stupid guy. If you shoot me, I'm gonna be so mad at you. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck that guy. What was that? Fuck this guy. Fucking asshole. I lived. Sure. Nice! He had a snub-nose 44 and a leather chest piece. Let's see if the snub-nose 44 is any good. Yeah, 40 damage, level 5, sure. We'll favor it. Or whatever. Yeah, this thing's no good. I need something better, so we'll do that. I've only got 12 44 rounds. How is it I don't have shotgun rounds? It seems kind of weird. But it's got a nice scope. But I mean, I'm gonna run out of ammo. So I'll have to change it. That's alright. Oh, someone Molotovs me. Who? Who's this? Blood Eagle. What? Oh, no, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Oh, my God. Blood Eagles. Oh, God. I don't know. What's this thing? Oh, God, get out of it. Get away. I don't want to die to all that. Fuck it. No, I'll just run. It's fine. I have 1 health. At least I found this place, so if I die, I'll spawn here. Ooh. Oh God, I missed. How'd you miss, you fucking piece of shit? It's at 95% VATS. The fucking VATS system is still so glitchy. I'm all ratted up and hurt. I mean, I can't afford to keep netting. Are you? Oh God. You're so annoying. I don't want to fight that guy right now. He seems to have a crack AI aim. I don't know why the Blood Eagle stumbled on me in the fucking dark, but okay. Nice. I guess they killed the Protectron. That's helpful. Yeah, nice. I don't know, they keep giving me Molotovs, so... Ooh. I like the RP of it. Gotta buy 2 stacks of tigers, and yeah, I'm straight out of all of everything. I'll have to blow all my money here. It's so annoying. Maybe I have to reprice everything. I do have. Oh God, look at all that. I have some stuff to sell that I didn't sell. I forgot about. Well, that's good. It's like 30K worth of stuff. I'm gonna go sell it. I'll buy tuna sushi and stacks of Delta tigers. Price on ice has gone down, and that sucks. It was up to like 10K. $17 grand for that. God damn it, it's too much. I can't really... I mean, I'm gonna buy it, but... God damn it. What else? I need... 2 or 3 stacks of tigers at 10. 2 stacks of tigers. And Delta at 2,200 apiece. We'll buy 6 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. And that's everything, and I'm broke. There goes 60 grand in a day. It's like, man. But I did post stuff to sell, so hopefully we'll be okay. You know, hopefully it'll balance out. I think I have some stuff that hasn't sold. Yeah, these dark clusters have not sold because the prices have gone down significantly. At this point, well, no, I'm gonna sell singles still though. I'm still gonna sell singles. I'll have to go to the mall to like purchase shotguns. Oh wait, no, there was shotgun shells. Nice. It's not enough, but it's helpful. Love the RP of like I feel like I'm in this room and I'm working on a terminal. That's cool. Hey, I got it finally. Frag grenade. Tempered, lightweight, raider, right arm. better. MedX is good. I lost a pin and this sucks. I best go to the mall and come back here, but I like the Black Mountain Ordnance Works. I think that's cool. I've never been here. Duct tape's good. 2 Molotovs to make up for what I used. Rads. I better pop a rat away. It's gotten out of hand now. I don't have a rat away diluted to my name, I don't think. But there's a rat away. Ah! Ah! No more rats. No more rats. No. I best go home and sleep, I guess. It's really the best way to deal with it. Oh yeah, it's Foshnock Day. I forgot about that. But I don't know, that might be kind of extreme. Okay, well I spent all my money. I'm gonna repost these. Oh man, everything's sold already. Everything. Wow, everything's sold really fast. Like all of it, like all the ice, everything. Everything's sold fast, huh? Is that right? No, no, that's not right. There you go. Okay. Oh. That missed. He's all busted or what? Oh. Yeah, we're set to leave here. It was expensive, but, I mean, what can I do? And that's all my money. 60 grand gone, but that's BST life. Fucking annoying. Are those... Oh, they're rad stags. You feel a kindred spirit. Is he praying at a Mothman altar? Wow. I've got to buy stim packs. Like, everything I get should go towards stim packs, pretty much. How come you have a backpack and I don't? I want it. I just have a backpack now. Yeah, I don't really need to, like, go anywhere, per se. I don't really need to explore. I'm liable to just die a lot, probably. If I just farm a couple of the same areas over and over again, I'll keep getting levels, and... This is the hardest this game gets. Nuclear mode. It's no joke. Thinking about cycling between my base and the first... and the first, the first Fallout bunker, because, oh, I should have looted that corpse. Oops. Oh, well. Because, I know the mobs are easy enough to kill here. You can always kind of get forward progression, and I need Gunsmith, and I kind of fucked up, and I bought something kind of frivolous without thinking. And I wanted what I bought, but I you know... Pipe pistol and pre-warm money. There, so you can tell I should be doing shotgun right now. It kills them right well. .10mm rounds. I heard a zombie back there, I thought. Yeah. Nice, Radix Stew is good. What? Wait, where was his body? I just one-shot him somehow, and his body like fell through the ground. Damn it. I still got my tiger back. That's good. Well, I killed him, but I didn't get the credit for him. I can get his body, but I can't get his credit, which is so annoying. Or maybe I did. I should have thought to blow up the car in the first place. I'll remember to in the future. Like, didn't you die? I think you died, but I don't know. I don't see his body. Oh, there it is. Yeah, he went after it. Look at that. I didn't think he strayed from the base that far, but he did. He chased it really far. He got it, and I got the XP. That's funny. Wow. He sells bulk screws for $250. I don't have that much though, and he doesn't have any money either. The cultist dagger, I think, is actually a really fucking good weapon for this level, actually, but it's level 15, which is... I bet I can probably buy the cultist dagger from him always, though. So I can technically use him by running back to the base with any aggro that I have, and he'll help me get the XP. Yeah, like this guy. This guy will fuck me up, so I have to like the stalkers are particularly nasty, yeah. He'll come, but it's alright. This guy should help me. I didn't get XP from that one, though, which is kind of annoying. I was not paying attention. But it's good to know I can do it, because this mode is fucking brutal. It is just brutal. Get out of it. I can't. Just two shot. Full health bar. Can't move. Wedged. The triple anus up my butt. And around the corner. Acting like the triple anus does, you know. I like that it feels hard. Like, significantly harder. What the fuck? Where is this guy? I don't understand where any of these guys are. What happened? Damn it, two-shot, man. Can't you design your games better? For fuck's sake, man. The two-shot bullshit is horse shit, man. Oh, one-shot send, bullet sponge, plague every game I play, and one-shot send, bullet sponge, plague every game I play, and I wanna cry about it, but instead I just get one shot and put 55 bullets into every single mob, every single player, and every single mob is a bullet sponge motherfucker that eats 85 rounds. Don't know why it's like that, but it's always like that. You can't sign a game for shit. Okay, that broke my leg. I'm dead, two-shot. Nice. Great. Great design. One-shots and one-shots and one-shots and one-shots. Dead. Pretty fair, I'd say. You know, the 110 rounds I had to put in, or 110 pellets I had to put in him, and the 2 hits I took. Pretty fair. Pretty fair. Everybody's the Terminator in the Triple Anus. In the Triple Anus, everything's the Terminator, and you're like a wet piece of toilet paper. It really makes sense. It equals difficulty, guys. It means difficulty. Ooh, wow, blackberries. Oh God, you are annoying. Where's my bag at? Dead. 1 hit. Nice. That guy is particularly annoying. Fucking annoying. You are particularly useless. You're not doing anything. One shot. You don't think you could maybe design the game better a little bit? Did you think this is like normal? Is it like, I don't know. Oh my God. I didn't get credit. Wow. I wish he wouldn't steal the XP like that. Now I'm all ratted out, and that might be a problem because I don't think I have a way of dealing with it. Oh, I guess I do. Nice. Let's see what's going on in the world today. Granado Espada. Thank you, Josh Drive Hayes, for the excellent content for my channel. I'd like to sub to your channel.
With Italian NPCs set to a mixture of French classic. How do you fancy a mid-2000s South Korean-made MMORPG, poorly translated into English, set in 18th century Central Europe, where you control a family of French aristocracy journeying through a Baroque industrial Renaissance America populated with Italian NPCs, set to a mixture of French classical and German house and techno music. Also, the title's in Spanish and translates to Pomegranate Sword, and 2 hours in, there's a quest where you beat a child into adoption. Strap in, we're playing Granado Espada. Welcome, I'm Josh Hayes, and this is Worst MMO Ever, a series where I play every MMO I can find in a journey to find the worst. Drop a like on the video or sub to the channel for more MMO stuff, ring the bell for all the future notifications. And as usual, a massive thank you to all the supporters.
I couldn't move or do anything!
More on how
great design, great!
For now, let's begin. Today we are playing Granado Espada, which sounds like something Harry Potter would order at Starbucks. It's actually one of the higher rated MMOs on Steam with more positive reviews than most, so I had high hopes going in, but don't worry, they were quickly dashed when I saw the start game text spilling over the edge of the button graphic. I've played a few bad MMOs now, and this tiny design choice, while not important by itself, is indicative. It's a telltale sign of a lack of care or polish in a game. So when entirely off this badly placed text, I'm going to predict there will be no care for the new player experience. Game launches, Dime Store Yennefer, and so much tightly held side boob that top is probably painted on. So launch the game, and first off you create your family name. You see, the gimmick in Granado Barbado is you don't control one character, you control 3, your family. We'll see exactly how that works later because it's like a really bad Dragon Age. This is also our first time hearing the background music, and when I said French aristocracy, I mean it, because you create your character to this. Okay, now I'm in the correct headspace of strutting around like a cake-eating dandy. I read up on the classes, and of course the text overflows the lines, because why wouldn't it? The aristocracy have no respect for your common text formatting, you peasant. So make 3 characters. Your first must be the scout class. Don't know why, but your other 2, a selection. Warriors, rangers, wizards, warlocks. It's nice to see the female warlock is just as sexy as the male warlock. That's equality right there.
Why is he moving faster than me?
Of a wizard and a warlock, both almost bursting out of their skimpy clothes because of their orbs of magical energy, we begin. One final family check from the barracks screen, and then you launch the game by clicking Saved Game, and we begin in the magical city of Startonia. I could not write a more on-the-nose parody. So gameplay, top-down camera, rotate it by holding right-click, left-click to move. You select which character you're moving, either on the left or click and drag for a selection box. Think of it like Baldur's Gate 3, but instead of pristine gameplay polish and world-class writing passion, you're controlling 3 drunk elitist nepo babies with all the personality of a stale baguette. You can change which character is seen as the leader by clicking the little crown icon by their names. In 3 days of play, this never actually mattered. So Startonia, left-click to move, follow the green arrows. What button do you think opens the quest list? That's right. Alt plus A. Okay, so we need to discuss this. Grenespa Ebespa has a keybind problem. Whoever decided on the default keybinds either has 15 fingers or didn't realize that when
respond
actually need
to the monster being there before I die, or
if you don't want to. You'll see what I mean later. Left-click on NPCs to talk to them. No voiceovers, just text, and eventually we meet Nunez. Well, we meet his stomach and the tip of his sword. I did not make a short character. This is just the default height that you look at NPCs from. You cannot look up in chats. He gives me 3 30-day medals to boost my characters, and the first challenge is to equip them. What do you think the open inventory button is? That's right. Alt plus E, but also not quite, because that just opens the leader's inventory. To open the other 2 characters, you must manually click their open inventory button. To equip things, you must drag items from whoever has them in their inventory to one of the characters' equipped item slots. But this can also be a challenge, because opening each character's equipped item slots starts with the text box overlapping the profiles, and you must unlock the text box, move the text box to get access to the right buttons. Then you must drag the item from whoever has it in the inventory to whichever of the 21 equipable slots, and if it's the wrong slot, it doesn't automatically snap to the right slot, it just says, whoops, try again. Also, good luck if you want to see item stats before equipping them, because as we'll see later, that doesn't work. Equip the 3 medals, get given a soldier card. When you make a new family, you can use these cards to unlock new classes. We then get teleported to Rido City. We're sent to talk to Selinden and the Pioneer support crew, because we are a pioneer, a wandering adventurer. Teleporting around is something you'll do a lot. I try to change the graphics because it's a good signifier of gameplay build quality if you can change lots of graphical options and the game doesn't crash. Good news and bad news. The good news is, no matter what options I change, you cannot make it crash. The bad news is, this is because changing the graphics in-game does nothing. Even though there is a confirm choices button, it's grayed out and you cannot ever click it, no matter how much you change. You can only change things from the launcher before you launch the game. I must also point out that when playing this in windowed mode, which is something I do often to make recording easier, it does one thing I absolutely hate, which is blanking out the close window button to the top right. To close the program, you must use the close
and listen to Josh talk about this. This is what I mean about Windows isn't good at Windows. And it's not just the game, it's also Windows sucks dick. Windows sucks dick and the game sucks dick. They suck each other's dick, and they can suck each other's dick off into its dick sucking, suck dick, fucking suck dickity, suck dick, 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 suck dick. See that grayed out square? Seen it before, haven't we? Oh yeah, see it all the time. incompetence, fire most of them. I mean, you're not good at Windows. You shouldn't be doing Windows. If this is what you thought it was an end product of Windows, like, I mean, I'm sorry, but Bill Gates is still alive. How is he not addressing this sort of stuff? Is he just not aware, or? I mean, it's very simple. I need to be able to minimize my window.
From the in-game menu. I do not like it when a program won't let me close it from the window itself. Right, gaming time. The first quest objective is to find the first quest objective. I'm not joking, that is the quest. The music has also switched to this epic instrumental which loops every 30 seconds.
I need Radaway again. Already. I shouldn't have fucked with those ghouls. They fucked me up. Damn it. Do I have like a storage thing here?
I think the best word to describe Grandiose Pomegranate is overwhelming. The music, the amount of UI elements, the character systems, the amount of info on the map, the NPCs, the labels, the city, the insane keybinds. There's a lot to take in. Now, I'm not against complex games at all. I'm replaying Morrowind on Twitch, and the leveling system in Morrowind alone is more complicated than all of Skyrim. But a complex game needs to have excellent pacing, to slowly introduce all of its systems and stack them in a meaningful way so the player feels in control and can see the connections between these systems. This does not do that. There is no pacing here. Pacing is a dirty word in Pomegranate Land. You will have all the systems all at once and you will like it. So what I'm going to do to avoid burnout is just play. Follow whatever quest the game gives me, focus on interacting with whatever systems the game has valued enough to actually mention, otherwise my brain would melt. First off, how do you open the map? Oh yeah, of course, it's Alt-Z. It's so intuitive. But hang on, there's not just one map, there are three. The actual map, which shows your facing and a cone of vision, but not important quest people. The quest list, which shows a map of the area you're in and what you need to do and where you need to go, but not your character, so you have no location reference for yourself. Or the local area map, which shows NPCs. And there's a search function here, but it's not that useful because it doesn't show quests. And on the general map, you can click to move, but not on the other two. Sometimes, navigation is a case of using all three and some brain power. Your quest map will say where to go down here, and the map links that you need to take to get from A to B. But then your general map will show you where you are and how to reach each link, and the NPC map will then show you how to find quick travel NPCs, which can send you to places faster. So we chat to Domingo. He needs help killing some monsters in a local church. We agree, and the game just teleports you there. Don't think, just go kill monsters in the name of Korean Jesus. This starts one of the game's dungeons, a linear path from start to finish, sometimes joined by supporting NPCs, fighting endlessly respawning enemies until you reach the end and kill a boss, all set to rave music. So behold, combat.
Oh no.
Oh god, this is my fault, isn't it? I'm always asking for early game dungeons, but this feels like the monkey's paw curls a finger. The designers were like, fine, we'll give you early game dungeons. They're gonna suck though. Combat is, in a word, boring. You can left click to attack, or press spacebar to attack the nearest enemy. Your main guy, the scout, has no melee attack unless equipped with a dagger, and you don't start with one. Both my magical girls have ranged fireball attacks. Now each character does have skills and abilities, but you're never told this. The scout can heal your team, and if you use space to auto-fight, they will automatically cast heal whenever any other character reaches low health. Meaning essentially, as long as you're not actively preventing your team from fighting, you can never die. You essentially have 2 DPS and a healer. Everyone tanks equally well. Now, there's a lot you can do with a team of players, and they've done absolutely none of it. No support, no aggro, no duo or trio attacks. I mean, come on, even the bouncer had trio attacks. The bouncer!
The bouncer
bar
was
is
good.
on the floor and you still didn't make it over it. Positioning doesn't matter. I've
The
equipped
bar was
nothing
on the
beyond
floor
the
and you still
overpowered
didn't
free
make it over
30-day medals you get, and eventually I kill a demon on a bridge. Who is the demon? What do they want? Don't know. Throw some French fireballs at it, fire the missiles, and then return to town automatically. Domingo signs some papers, and now we're fully fledged pioneers. We have the city's blessing to go and kill more demons and listen to more rave music. So Sir Lyndon gives us 5 new quests. Each of them is basically talk to a system trainer in the city, learn the systems, then go and kill more things. So first up, enhancing. Grand Cabbage feels like a game designed by committee, but no one was talking to each other. You know that game where you fold a bit of paper several times over and each person draws a small bit of a monster on it, then passes it on to the next and unfolds it and draws the next bit. Then you unfold the whole paper and the end creature is a random mash of many designs. This feels like that. Yes, it is one complete experience, but nothing works together. No system enhances or promotes another. Every class moves, looks and feels the same. We speak to a family attribute master trainer and they say, level up your brave stat. But brave isn't a stat, you have to choose intrepidity. To make travel quicker, you can use the warp window, or open the general or quest map and right click on a quest giver to automatically move there, and despite being told to do this, you're then told you didn't memorize the route, so you can't fast travel via the menu yet, despite being told to do that in the game. Basically, you get a quest, you can see the final zone, and then use the regular map to find where that zone is and work backwards zone to zone to find the connections you need to make. So we run off, and we're told to get a buff from the local statue. So we do that, but then I try to warp back because, you know, I've been given the quest and I've met the quest giver before, but then I'm told I can't due to lack of FFXI. What is FFXI? It's obvious. It's the Samoan word for communication, because Grindibly Adibly is on a quest to smash every nationality into this mess of a game. Next up, go to Ferruccio Junction. Ferruccio being an Italian name meaning one with the iron sword, named because the junction map features a giant dude with a sword. We're told to use the save warp to reach it, but what does that mean? How do you do it? It sounds like something a speedrunner would do, and I do not know what the save warp is. So manually work out the map links. Leave the city via the Queen's Gate, travel through the stone pit, get to the junction. Playing Grand Vegetable feels like joining an anime mid-season in a very convoluted and rather dull arc. There's a lot going on, but I've not been given any reason to care about any of it. Normally in games you start underpowered, your growth is part of the journey and you're the underdog rising up, but here you are clearly immensely rich, powerful and unkillable from the start. There's no feeling of progression. Like a vegetarian barbecue, there's just no stakes. While out in the field, we meet this guy who's lost his girlfriend. She's trapped in a local dungeon and he wants us to go and rescue her. We agree and he teleports us there because apparently he's a magical wizard that can do that but is incapable of rescuing her himself. This starts a wave defense section where a slow sludge of different looking but identical acting enemies move towards you and you just kind of stand there and don't die. It's very annoying how every enemy looks different, yet they all have exactly the same AI and similar attacks. Nothing feels different. So we survive and rescue the girl, return to the guy, and he shows us a picture of her and says, what do you think? And if you say, yeah, she's pretty, the guy attacks you for thinking you're trying to steal his girlfriend. So you fight, and when you win, he leaves her and joins your family, which means Granado Espada lets you beat up a love-struck child, then forcefully adopt them. I've also discovered you need to remove any weapon your scout has equipped if you want to use their heal skill, and as healing is way better than damage, that's pretty much a no-brainer. A guy called Jack then sends us to the stone pits to kill some more enemies and potentially abduct some more kids for the family, and this game is just infuriating because I actually don't hate any individual aspect of design. I hate how they're put together. If you break this game down into its component parts, each of them is good. Graphics, fine. Sound design. The music is misplaced, but it's high quality. The UI is busy but functional. The 3-character party system isn't a bad design in itself, but it's not explained or used in an interesting way. The equip system is complex and deep, but it's never needed. The quest list is functional enough, but needs you to use 3 windows to get all the information. If you break Granado Espado down into its fundamental systems, each is a very good system. But together, they become a mess because none of them enhance any of the others. Having 3 party members never actually needs you to equip or play them differently. Mechanically, you're just playing a big 3-headed 6-armed character. The level layouts and locations look fine, but teleporting from A to B means I never connect where I am to where I was. And the emotional depth, which is hinted at with a giant statue, a city, a war, a family feud, never actually results in you making any choices which relate to this. It's like trying to bake a cake by throwing all of the initially correct ingredients into a big bucket, stamping them together and then pouring the resulting sludge onto a tire fire and wondering why your cake neither looks nor tastes like a cake. This is what happens when you let the ideas guy make something. There are indeed a lot of good ideas, but you're missing the invisible but essential design stuff which connects good ideas together and makes them actually work, like pacing, narrative structure, a hidden tutorial, character connections to the world, combat, challenge and balance, slowly stacking mechanics or impactful player choices between the systems. Like how they've given me 3 characters to control, but for my entire playtime the best choice was always select all of them and attack one thing. You've used a system system which can have incredible tactical depth as a gimmick and then not done anything tactical with it. The next time someone says, oh, I've got a great idea for a game, I'll be thinking, so did Granado Espada. Loads of ideas, but lots of ideas in isolation is not normally as fun as a few specific ideas linked together and fully realised. If you get attacked after moving and you don't press spacebar, you won't fight back. So I just stand there and see how long it takes to die. It takes about 15 minutes for one character to be killed, and then I notice two things. One, once a character is killed, they'll get back up after about 36 seconds. So unless your team is wiped out, you're technically invincible. And two, why is the crocodile standing up and punching me? Is this like a really rough cut of Tekken? Does the crocodile dream of being a boxer? And then I realise it's dumber than that. They've just given the crocodile enemy the kangaroo moveset. Seriously, look at this. A crocodile hops around, jabs, and jump kicks. They are kangaroos. They've clearly just given the wrong model and texture to the wrong rig. Fight through the stone pit to reach Jack, tilt the camera up to try and look at the rather nice scenery and landscape, and accidentally just full-on upskirt it. There you go, fan service. It truly is an anime game now. Guess it's impressive they modelled and textured everything. While playing, a new patch note comes out. Point 1 is letting players know the compensation items for server instability are being removed, so grab them quickly, and point 2 is letting you know that there's a new loot box in the cash shop, so go and buy it. I'm gonna be honest, those two patch notes, being 1 and 2, don't really inspire the most confidence in me. Check the notice board in town for more tasks, and why am I so low down? Why do I just see the bottom edge of the board? So I grab a task, go and speak to Idge and learn enhancing. This process upgrades weapons, but once you try to upgrade a weapon past +5, there is a 50% chance the upgrade will fail and the weapon will be straight up destroyed. But don't worry, you can use these secondary crystals that guarantee the upgrade will work. So there's actually a chance if you do fail this, you can softlock yourself out of your starting equipment, but that's fine because your equipment doesn't matter. Also, there is a cash shop where you can buy everything you might need, because of course there is. 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and MMO cash shops. We'll look at the shop later. You can't equip the sword as the scout because you don't know how to use them, but here's a fun little quirk. I have 2 body armor pieces, one in my inventory, one equipped. They are the same named piece, but one of them is more powerful. The one I have equipped, when I cursor over it, shows its defensive value. But the one in the inventory shows 0 when I cursor over that. I know this is wrong, because the one in my inventory is the upgraded one. So I equip it, and now it shows a higher defensive value, but the other piece, now in the inventory, shows 0. So armor pieces in the inventory will show an armor value of 0, despite having a value. You can only see it when the piece is equipped. I go to Rachel next and learn how to add sockets to items. You put gems into sockets and make weapons more better at making stuff more dead. But after adding 1 socket, there's a chance that every additional attempt will destroy the item, because of course there is. Next quest, go and find some old armor at the giant statue junction. It doesn't say where, it just says around the statue. By now, I've been playing for about a day, so I take a break and I return to the game, and returning to this game is daunting, because while I've played some bad games on this series, Granado Ebabado gives the strongest feeling of I just don't want to play this anymore. Perfect example of 2 decent systems making each other worse. The floor is nicely textured, the chat box is nicely laid out, the chat box is transparent, the text is white, and it blends in with the floor. If you had anyone quality control this for 10 minutes, they would have noticed that. Arrive at the junction and meet the move helper. For only 10 viz, they will transport you across the map. I don't have any viz, plus this is the first time I've been to this map. Maybe game tried to let me be excited to play it and not instantly encourage me to skip it. While here, kill 10 leafing crocs. Leafing? Oh, have they misspelled the enemy name? Was that meant to be leaping crocs? Because that would still be stupid, but it would make more sense. This area is huge. I get a load of Kill X quest and the music switches from Noble Classical to Techno Rave. Again. I don't know what vibe Grandadada Ebadada is going for. Even the screenshots show the armor styles and general ambience being all over the place. Much like the mechanical designs having lots of unrelated systems all kind of pushed close together, the graphical style remains consistent, but the time period or level of technology on display within it is so incredibly wild. Run along and pull a massive enemy group as aggro ranges seem quite big, kill everything and one enemy drops a rifle, but nobody knows how to use it. Seriously, your class is Scout. Your entire class identity is moving away from the main force and scouting situations out, staying out of enemy range and gathering data, and you're confused by a sword and a rifle, the most common fantasy weapon and the best weapon to let you keep some sort of distance. I'm trying to find this old armor, but I just can't. But then I discover the Info Center, a window full of useful information. What keybind do you think opens the Information Center? That's right, Alt-M. This NPC then says, "My neighbor Dore boasted of having increased her barracks slots. Such a bad girl. Who is Dore? You don't need to know such a girl." Well, slow down there, game. You don't know me. Maybe increased barracks slots is exactly what I look for in a woman. Discover the fast warp menu. It links you to the major lower level cities and instantly unlocks from the start. You can't warp while in combat, but you can warp while being attacked and not retaliating, because that is clearly not the same as combat. Back at the main city, we are praised for our stellar work of killing things around the giant statue, and then we're given some 30-day wings as our reward, and then given the next quest. Go back to the statue and kill even more things.
Nice.
Stunning pacing game, just absolutely stunning, 10 out of 10. So I travel back and like an angry avenging angel return to set everything on fire. Then I explore the city and meet Andre, a man so aggressively French, just being near him makes me want to protest something. He wants me to kill 5 plants, so while here I speak to more locals and collect more local quests. This guy Sheriff wants me to identify a mysterious T-box. My god, he really will do anything except release Ashes of Creation, won't he? Spot another player in the game and say hi and get no response. Then learn Enchanting, which is the same as Enhancing except it tastes more magical. Then go complete the quests I found, which are all talk to X or kill X. But a touch I do like is on the quest list you have a linear track punctuated by these lion icons showing you the steps of the quest you're on. That's a nice visual. This quest needs me to interact with the notice board in 3 cities, and once again my vertically challenged character stares at the lower edge, and then we use the waypoint system to teleport to another city. The game never mentions the waypoint system, I think it just assumes you know what that is. The loading screen also seems to be St. Paul's Cathedral, which is in London, and the others are reminiscent of New York. So I journey around, and I think the best description of this game is aggressively boring. It's not like it's not doing stuff, it's doing lots of stuff, but none of it's landing, nothing works together.
Boring.
It's like a one-liner comedian and none of the jokes are hitting. They're not offensively bad, they're just really dull. So while I'm playing, let's have a read of some reviews. It's an old game, but perfect to play it when you're working from home and to leave overnight leveling up. This person has played for 1,024 hours. Good RPG. This person has played for 4,073 hours. Trading to players is still the best in gaming. 8,080 hours. Fun thing about the game, play 3 characters simultaneously. The Victorian era theme is fantastic. Boobs. Fun raid of 12 to 30 players. 17,951 hours. Some players are getting banned for no reason. Facts. 27,887 hours. I'm going to stop reading reviews for this game because they're scaring me. Return to the giant statue and kill some more enemies for some more items, but I want to explore, to see the wide open yonder. If there's one thing Granado Encanto has going for it, it's actually the graphics. No, the game isn't fully open world, it's several larger maps all joined together, but the maps themselves do look inviting. The distant scenery looks interesting, and maybe, just maybe, if I wander off the beaten path, if I roam free, I'll discover a whole new adventure. A small-scale problem I can solve. Maybe I can go and be a real, wild adventurer. No, there are invisible walls everywhere. Go back to the main quest, you idiot. Why would you even want to explore? I spend a while trying to find the old armor for this quest, and I can't, so I try the wiki, and the game actually has a relatively fleshed-out wiki. The armor is under some stones, so I search around, find it, and then get sent to Alquet Mareza, a dungeon. Oh, I love dungeons. Let's hope this one's better. Through the spider-infested forest, and oh hey, this is where I killed that demon on that bridge earlier. Into the dungeon, and now a few strange design choices. Enemies in dungeons do not stop spawning ever. You can just stand still, turn on defend area stance and grind forever. Now there is a system designed to stop you from doing this. Barrels will spawn in the dungeon, and if you attack them, lots of high level enemies will spawn which will kill you, but barrels don't spawn in corridors, so negated that one pretty quickly. Now, I'm not against standing and grinding AFK in MMORPGs. I got maxed combat in old school RuneScape via the Nightmare Zone, but that is usually an experience you want to provide to a higher level players who actively seek that out. A reward after several hours of adventure, not something you want a new player to experience a few hours in and become the adventure itself. So I spend literal hours just standing here letting my party kill everything, and I gain a few levels, but it's important to remember, apart from the 30-day wings, which I was given at the start, I've not had to equip a single new piece of anything. I've not had to micromanage combat at all. I've not had to engage with the systems any deeper than the Force tutorials made me, and even when I do, I don't actually gain a sense of increased power. There's just no incentive to pay attention. Oh, this dungeon also has background music with lyrics. Just give it a listen. I've had that on loop for 6 hours while training. Follow some more quests and figure out more directions, and then I realised another design I dislike. The quest instructions have managed to be the worst of both worlds. See, over on Twitch I've been replaying Morrowind recently, and I've been really appreciating the lack of icons and directional markers, having to rely on written instructions, actually paying attention in the game to explore the world using the in-game directions. It's the opposite of Skyrim, which gives you big shiny markers everywhere. No reading or immersion really needed. Grandad Spandex does neither. It doesn't give you large floating markers, nor does it give you written instructions that are specific or accurate, leaving you to kind of vaguely figure out where it wants you to go and how to get there from a series of map windows. Kill this level 20 flaming horse by just slowly burning it down. Sometimes it does a big attack shown by a red marker, and the first few times I actually do move out the way to try and engage with the mechanic, but then I realise you don't need to and can just out-heal everything. And you don't even need to be the one to click heal, remember? Your scout character will just do it for you when everyone is on low health. Kill this Sigmund enemy for a quest item, and hang on, there's 2 pop-ups for things that have just appeared, and they use the same artwork of knockoff Yennefer from Temu, but why is the arm different on each pop-up? Are you just slapping different arms onto a single torso and calling it a new character? But hey, one of these pop-ups is a new event, a brand new quest added to the game recently. Maybe I could get involved, go and see the latest and greatest the designers can do. So I follow the vague instructions and go and speak to Anita. She has some absolutely fantastic plot points and also drives the story along. But for some reason, when talking to her, you not only get to see her in game, but also you get this graphic overlay of just her face, which is a really odd style choice. It seems this is a continuation of a story that we've not done, but instead of saying that, it just tells you everything as if you're fully up to speed, name dropping all the NPCs you're meant to already know and care about, and then get told to go to Errol. But you can't, because to get to Errol, you need to go through the housing district, which is off limits. That means I need to grind first, and honestly, I just don't want to do that. Grandia Spandy has an interesting gimmick of 3 characters, but it's not fully realised or designed around, at least not for the first 20 hours. The quests are generic kill X or collect X. You're told about these fantastic events without ever seeing them or playing through them, and while the graphics are nice, the eclectic mix of locations and time periods leaves the whole thing feeling rather muddled. The environments are definitely competent, but you quickly learn they're all just closed-in corridors with the illusion of freedom. And while no individual design choice can be pointed at and said bad, none of them interact in a good way. But the worst thing of all, there isn't even a pomegranate sword. So I will award Granado Espada blatant lie out of 10. Cheers for watching. Another massive... Oh yeah, the cash shop. Forgot about that. It's bad. Pretty much everything you expect if you've seen more than one of these videos before. Spend real money to buy abusively sized packs of proprietary currency, spend that on boost, experience, upgrade items, powerful pets. You know the drill, and you know what? Even though I scoured the shop, I still could not find a pomegranate sword. Disappointed, Granado Espada. Disappointed. Okay, now we're done. Cheers for watching. Another massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, and our Discord. And as always, have a great day.
What was that? Oh, the fire.
Daggerfall released 25 years ago, and guess what? It's actually my...
I can't believe you pre-rolled this particular video. I don't know. That looks like a good video. Here we go.
So there I was, standing in the shower, brainstorming, coming up with ideas for my next video. Suddenly, like a bolt of lightning, it hit me.
This is the best idea I've ever had.
It was the worst idea I'd ever had. But where did it come from? In my previous video, I talked about the value of obscure consoles. While editing, I came across
3DO had
footage
a
of
lot of
3DO
really decent
CEO
stuff.
Trip Hawkins discussing the company's next move. Their recent entrance to the console industry with the 3DO interactive multiplayer hadn't gone as planned. I grew up knowing 3DO as the publisher behind N64 games like Battle Tanks and Army Men. It wasn't until the famous Angry Video Game Nerd episode Plumbers Don't Wear Ties that I discovered 3DO's attempts to penetrate the hardware market. Like John's penetration
3DO
attempts
was a
in
great
Plumbers
system.
Don't Wear Ties, it was large.
I had access to one for about 2 years. I played Star Control 2 primarily. Great system. It was up there with the PlayStation 1, and it was a very high quality system, yeah.
Unsuccessful.
Hi, I'm Jane.
I love everything about you.
The games weren't
I love
good
you
like
I've
PlayStation
never
1,
loved
but the
anyone in my
system
life.
was.
I love you like I've never loved anyone in my life. The more research I did on the 3DO, the more interesting the story became to me. I don't know why, but I find these dark corners of video game history appealing.
too.
That said, there's no
Gotta
shortage
learn
of
from the past.
3DO-centric content on this platform. Lots of good videos and documentaries, so I'll just...
Star Control had the depth of, like, Minecraft. You could live in that game for a long, long time. You can travel the fucking universe for, you know, and build ships and try to dominate everything. And, you know, just keep, like, you know, it was a very interesting game for its time. But it was also, you know, it was also, like, I don't know, it was, like, very sci-fi and very cheesy. And the combat itself, I would say, it was like too base. But it was still a really great game. Star Control. Without Star Control 2, we never would have had anything Bethesda ever did. I don't think.
Explain the 3DO's unfortunate history.
He'll get
First to
around
mention
to the
is
Star
3DO's
Control.
business model. Dreamt up by 3DO and Electronic Arts founder Trip Hawkins, it was quite different from what we typically expect in the console market. Rather than proprietarily assembling the system, the 3DO company would license the console.
Like, as I went on, as time went on, I began to realize that my best friend was like a consummately really good fucking gamer. Like, he owned a 3DO, you know? He was, he owns all the consoles. And he has a lot of games. And I really look up to that. I think it was very expensive to do so. He saved his money diligently. He's a very great man.
Schematics to electronics manufacturers. So you don't just buy a 3DO, you buy an LG, Panasonic, or Sanyo 3DO. After purchasing manufacturing rights, these companies were entitled to all the profits of hardware sales, while 3DO itself collected royalties on game sales. There are problems with this. Most game companies sell consoles at a loss and rake up the profit in the software market. With royalties primarily being funneled back to 3DO itself, this left the manufacturing partners up the creek. I'm speculating here, but I imagine that's why the suggested retail price of the system was an outrageous 700 American dollar dues. That's about 1,400 bucks today. Unless you bought a PS5 on eBay in 2021, this is probably unimaginable.
This is a system you're not going to play.
Our system is capable of much
Yeah, it was
more
$729, just like the PlayStation.
Well, there were small
2.
changes made between manufacturers. The 3DO uniformly
It was so far out of my reach.
Pretty impressive specs at launch, including its cell engine.
But I have friends who were addicted to Star Control 2, and 3DO was how you could get Star Control 2, you know? And they spent their high school, like I spent my high school years playing console games like Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10. They spent their years, their teenage years playing Star Control 2 into EVE Online.
But it allowed for accurately texture mapped polygons and advanced bitmap rendering, meaning sprites could be easily stretched, rotated, and lit, made transparent. It was a significant advantage over the competition. That is, until the PlayStation and Sega Saturn released about a year after the 3DO came out, both at a fraction of the cost.
$2.99.
The simple fact is that even if the 3DO had come out gangbusters, and it didn't, it wasn't built with polygons in mind like the PS1, Saturn, and N64. No. Some of its games were impressive for their time, including the definitive port of Wolfenstein 3D. However, like its most closely related contemporary, the Philips CDI, the majority of its software library was edutainment, FMV bullshit, and softcore pornography. Okay, with all that out of the way, I'm gonna be frank. Whatever expectations I had when I came up with this video have been blown away with a force so decisive it feels like I've lost innocence. And not just because I played a 3DO game called Sex. Although it certainly does get me excited in the downstairs region. I wanted to look into specific topics relevant to my channel, so I decided to play every RPG on the system. Every time I thought I found every single game that could be considered an RPG, dug a little deeper, and found another one. In the end, I played 14 games. Although I'm playing very fast and loose with the definition of RPG. I wanted to be thorough. I wanted to minimize the inevitable comments
on the Panasonic 3DO. There was a Zelda game.
Like, insofar as I could.
He'll talk about
it.
I
believed I hit weirdness bedrock, the foundation gave way and I fell further into the 3DO rabbit hole.
3DO rabbit hole.
Join me now as I take you on a journey so strange it makes Strange Journey look like Quest 64. A quest so troubling it makes Quest 64 look like Xenogears.
Quest 64 sucks so bad.
Let's start with a game off-hailed as a 3DO classic. This is Immercenary.
I'm being attacked and I'm being ratted.
Oh god. Combining full motion video with comic book style framing.
Dr. Collier! What happened?
We're losing sync. We've got to pull him out.
Yeah, it's cheesy, but there's a sense of style and identity a lot of FMV games lack, and the acting, well, it could just be my standards at rock bottom after playing Plumbers Don't Wear Ties on stream, but it's decent.
If you go back in there, be extremely careful. You saw what happened to number 4.
Local musical theater quality. The game is set in the grim future of 2004. Immercenary explores implications of the so-called internet. Most of humanity is trapped in a virtual reality construct called Perfect, unable to return to reality. The core of Perfect is an entity known only as Perfect One, and it must be destroyed in order to free humanity. The setup is pretty great. It perfectly combines a legitimately bleak scenario with this ridiculous vision of the World Wide Web circa 1995.
What you now know as virtual reality will in your future become a virtual Armageddon.
The team was apparently inspired by Snow Crash, but I'm getting some serious Lawnmower Man vibes here. The question is, how's the game? To that I answer, yes. It wouldn't be accurate to call Immercenary an RPG, more like a first-person shooter with some light RPG mechanics. I described the game to somebody as William Shatner's Tech War with roguelite elements, and that sentence is just so insane I can't let it go.
Okay, Rossi won't be pushing his crash around here anymore, but we're not done by a long shot.
You play as an agent who's sent into Perfect in order to defeat Perfect 1, and from the moment you're dropped in, it's just unadulterated chaos. Perfect is populated with a variety of strange characters, all of whom will do their best to kill you the moment you're within their line of sight. In the beginning, you'll die almost instantly, but that's okay, because you're given another chance to hop back in.
A definite improvement in target acquisition and kill ratio. That's good.
As you kill enemies, they'll drop a cloud of static. Depending on the enemy type, moving over the static will increase defense, offense, or agility. Defense is akin to hit points, offense is ammo capacity, and agility dictates how long you can move around without needing a rest. Rather than picking up ammo or health packs, you'll have to locate terminals which recharge their color-associated resource, with blue terminals recharging all at once. When you get started in Perfect, it's time to move. Standing still in this game is death, so running out of agility is troublesome. It's made worse by the movement controls, which defy all rationality. Pressing up on the D-pad will increase your character's speed, while pressing down lowers it. Left and right will turn your character, and pressing the shoulder buttons will cause your character to take one step left or one step right. Yeah, not really strafing, literally it's one single step. If you want to strafe, you have to rapidly press the shoulder buttons, and it's just about the most unintuitive thing I've seen in a console shooter, even considering its age. If you want to stop, you have to press the D-pad down until your acceleration slows, by which point you've probably cruised past your intended destination. It's difficult to describe, but it feels like playing a forklift simulator or something. I think they were trying to do something different, hammer home that VR theme, make it feel like you're gliding around the game world, but it just feels like you're never in control. After a difficulty spike in the opening hour or so, your ability to survive increases exponentially. Initially, you'll only be able to take on enemies called goners with low health and damage output, but soon you'll be able to take on tougher enemies and stay within Perfect for longer periods of time. It's interesting that the little FMV interludes actually give you hints about the game world or what you did wrong, helping you gain knowledge and survivability.
5. We may be on to something here. Run through the static fields of the next few rhythms you crash, so we can gather some more data.
You'll learn what the power-ups do and naturally become better at directing your forklift away from certain death.
Just between you and me, I never thought you could do this.
I mean, yeah, who else would it
Community theater
be
level.
between? 3DO Magazine. I'm sorry, it is a legitimate publication. 3DO Magazine says this is a game which looks like nothing you've ever seen. And, well, that is true. The world is presented like a simulation of a city,
That
with
is
each
true.
district having different architecture and rarely some explorable
He's very funny.
structures. There are occasionally static fields which prevent you from using your abilities too. This causes certain textures to flicker in and out of wireframe. It's a pretty simple effect, but it's cool for the time. Despite the mundanity of your surroundings, the game
I'm
does
going
a
to
good job
die.
of making you feel like
Why
you
am
are
I-
in
why am
virtual
I going to
reality.
die? Don't
The fact
die,
that
don't
the
die,
cutscenes
don't die,
outside
don't
of
die, don't die,
Perfect
don't
are
die.
performed by real
Oh my
actors
God.
creates this contrast where the simplistic
The stupid tiger will not fucking attack the Atemu.
Music
Please
also
attack
changes
the
depending
Atemu.
on the environment you're
Attack
in.
the
which is a nice
Atemu,
touch.
Your
skill has increased.
Music itself isn't all that
Attack
great.
the
The crowning
Atemu.
jewel of a mercenary's presentation is easily the talking heads.
Attack the Atemu.
Everything.
Why wouldn't you attack?
I know nothing.
Did you sleep the
Computer
tiger? It made no
program.
sense. The tiger just
A
wouldn't obey.
universe.
These janky
What
ass games.
is going on with that?
My eyes are down here.
There's a safe haven within
My eyes
Perfect
are
called the
down here.
DOA-Sys, where the denizens of Perfect aren't allowed to fight each other. Unlike
Aw,
other
I'm
terminals,
down
the
some
DOA-Sys
XP
is
now.
rendered on screen at all times, so you always have a grip on where you are, where you should be if you need to heal up. Here you can have conversations with a wide array of players. A wide array. Depending on who you run into, they might have some expository dialogue or even hints about where to find boss battles. Yeah, there are specific inhabitants of Perfect who can be fought in special arenas. There's usually some kind of gimmick to these fights that forces you to mix up your playstyle. In order to defeat Perfect 1, you have to climb the ranks from 255 all the way to the top, and let me tell you, that's gonna take a while. So let's go over the good. The environment is totally non-linear, meaning you can take on bosses whenever you see fit, whether or not you're ready for them. The game encourages exploration by not making death such a harsh punishment. I know the term roguelite is thrown around a lot these days, but this constant cycle of dying, improving, and having enemy placement mixed up seems to me perhaps the first implementation of such a mechanic in an FPS. There's even a hint of Battle Royale in here. At a
No,
time when most
Descent had
developers
it
were just trying to emulate
before
Doom,
this.
this was quite an ambitious concept
Lunatic
for a console
Fringe.
shooter. There's really
There was a
nothing
couple.
like it to this day, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's good.
This will be more of an individual preference, but I do love the game's presentation. It's just such a perfect time capsule to that period of the 90s where a lot of people really were convinced that FMV was the future. Having been published by EA, Mercenary had some surprising production value which helps it stand the test of time. Now for the bad. The game controls like you're leading a pack of sled dogs. If this was Sled Dog Racer 96, that wouldn't be such a problem, but it isn't that. It's immersionary. There's so much goddamn chaos occurring on screen at any given time, you really need tight controls on your side to react. That's not the case. A lot of the time, your health will just melt and you'll be booted from Perfect before you have a chance to turn around and see who your assassin
driving a
is.
sled dog team. It's such a funny way to describe it. This guy's very good, yeah, actually. Why aren't we doing this? Yes, I said yes. Yes, go. Go. Wait. Oh, yeah, you went to the right one. So annoying. I lost my tiger. Now I have to wait. So.
Boss fights are also pure tedium. They're all just bullet sponges. I'd say that speaks to the biggest overarching problem I have with the Mercenary. It's just repetitive. After a few minutes of running around shooting goners, you've really experienced the majority of what the game has on offer. Boss fights help to break up the monotony, but they're few and far between. Most of the game is running around, jamming your thumb on the shoot button until it's bloody and raw. It's certainly unique, but so is System Shock, which predates this game by a year, and unlike a Mercenary, System Shock is unique and fun at the same time. Your mileage may vary, but I will say, as a mid-90s curiosity trapped on the 3DO, the Mercenary is worth checking out. The cutscenes are awesome, and there's an appeal to exploring this small open world they've created. You just have to survive long enough to do it. Next up on the chopping block, we've got Battle Blues, a strategy RPG developed by Shins Entertainment and published by LG, the electronics company? Yes, like many of the proceeding games on this list, there's an interesting story behind this one that's really hard to dig up information on. Gold Star was a major manufacturer of 3DO systems and the exclusive manufacturer in Korea. You know how LG stands for Life's Good? Until 1995, it stood for Lucky Gold Star. Battle Blues was produced by LG in order to run exclusively on its 3DO systems. Yes, that's correct. The 3DO, a system whose market was primarily American and even failed there, has got a South Korean exclusive to its name, and it's not the only one. Now, I would have played it regardless, but there by the grace of God, one man named Jeremy DeCola released a full fan translation and a light rebalancing mod several years ago. Never in a million years could I have imagined somebody would put in the time and effort required to make this a reality, but hey, sometimes things just work out. Thanks for your hard work, Jeremy. The timeline of events in Battle Blues is laid out in an introductory cutscene. 1997 to 1999, over 5,000 local wars are recorded December 1999, as the United Nations fails to maintain world order, For fuck's sake! September 2000, the Alliance holds a second conference in Moscow following the abolishment of the UN. The ANA is established in the global... The gist is that societies the world over are highly unstable. As policing becomes ever more tight-fisted, criminal syndicates across Brain City find increasing popularity. Your job is to shoot first, ask questions later, and look like a stud doing it. The cutscenes explaining the story are actually not bad. Unfortunately, the 3DO's internal resolution is a mere 320 by 240, which is increased to 640 by 480 via frame buffer interpolation. This probably looked okay on a CRT, but with modern digital displays, it really does a number on the hand-drawn art. Anyway, the cutscenes aren't that great, but a sizable cut above what I expected for a country-exclusive 3DO RPG. The backstory is pretty generic, but the depressing tone of the world is established quite well. Now, I really dig the pre-mission briefings. There's an awesome use of the 3DO's color palette, making the pixel art pop in ways that FMV couldn't. That music is just awesome as well. Like many SRPGs, you've got a squad comprised of several different character archetypes. Before a mission, you're given limited credits to purchase their gear with. Characters have various strengths or weaknesses that can be taken advantage of, depending on the resources you send them into battle with. Apparently, Decola's mod is more generous with pre-mission credits, so you could say that I'm not getting the true Battle Blues experience. I'm sorry. As for the gameplay itself, it is basically what comes to mind when I say SRPG in a modern setting. Isometric perspective, characters taking turns depending on speed, it's fine. It's just fine. Frankly, I'm stunned by the sheer competence of the whole thing. If you're not acquainted with the 3DO, you might not know what I mean by that, but you will before the video's over. The game isn't perfect by any means. First of all, the controls are wonky. Movement is basically reversed on a horizontal axis to what you'd expect, so I always end up walking in the wrong direction. You use the B and C buttons to cycle through your items or weapons, and A to select a target. Unfortunately, the game will often decide to target your own teammates before the enemy, so you can't just mash through the confirmation. You're limited to 5 items, which includes ammunition. Considering levels are actually multi-tiered and force you to beat a number of submissions before returning to base, running out of ammo is a risk. There's a few different ammo types, and you won't know which one is suited for your character's gun without trial and error. I guess this is probably where the instruction manual would have come in handy. All of this stuff is minor on paper, but it really goes to show how much quality of life change positively affects SRPGs. There's just a collection of minor issues that pile up and make the game feel unpleasant to play. As for the gameplay presentation, it's pretty solid. I will say that the lightning speed walk cycles are hilarious. The sprite-based objects used to populate levels are actually quite nice, and there's a large variety of assets used to differentiate sections. Then there's the music. Is he saying makin' love? Unironically though, the music is pretty funky. I don't know how fitting it is given the circumstances, but I think they were going for an urban feel. It's certainly unique to say the least. In the 4 or so hours that I played, there was a decent level of mission variety as well. In one level, the head honcho stays back and starts executing hostages if you take too long. In another, you have to protect some bomb squad agents as they move throughout the level, defusing bombs while getting shot at. It's no Jagged Alliance, but it's decently engaging for what it is. All in all, it's hard to recommend Battle Blues for the casual SRPG enjoyer. Not because it's a bad game per se, but because it's a game in a genre whose advancements have made it obsolete. Outside of the presentation, none of Battle Blues' individual characteristics really hold up to modern scrutiny. Neither is it bad, weird, or interesting enough to command one's attention, a la something like a Mercenary. Despite that, I think video game preservation is important. I'm more convinced of that having made this video than ever. I'm very thankful for people like Jeremy Decola out there who put in the legwork to make these oddities playable. Alright, now we're getting into the thick of it. Ukoku no Grand Chef, which I will henceforth be referring to as Grand Chef, is an RPG developed by Sala International. We will be returning to them. For now, what you need to know is that this game was only released in Japan. As such, finding information on the game is a monumental pain in the ass, and involved a lot of automated translations. With that in mind, here's the lowdown from atwiki.jp. Litello note: RPG traveling by cooking. Heartwarming scenarios and fresh systems are attractive. Hit the recipe that is actually used and challenge the food. Motivation to secretly open a slow life RPG? Game sex closer to ADV than RPG. Difficulty to get stuck in progress due to lack of kneading. Now, I've had varying degrees of success in these Japanese-only 3DO games, Grand Chef being at the very bottom of the barrel. As such, I can neither confirm nor deny that kneading represents a difficulty spike in the game. I can say a few things with absolute certainty, the first being that this introduction is both hideous and absolutely bonkers. The butler turns into a leopard demon, and it looks like this chef condemns his son to some sort of cooking hell. The CG is actually not the worst I've ever seen on the system, so points for that. The visual style of the game itself is a little jarring. I would actually describe the look of several of these games to be Camelot at home. For those who don't know, Camelot is the game developer behind the Shining games, Golden Sun, and also Mario Golf. Their games have a pretty distinctive visual identity, sharing typefaces and often using digitized 3D renders as sprites. Grand Chef's graphics aren't a complete failure in capturing this, but it's just no contest in terms of charm. Also, you have to stand here listening to characters flap their gums for like 15 minutes before you can start playing. I mean, just look at these talking heads. I know part of the problem is that I just don't speak Japanese, but I'm reasonably confident when I say that even if I did, I would still be bored. Alright lady, put your fucking eyebrows down and let me pass. The combat in Grand Chef is as basic as an RPG gets. You can attack, you can summon, which is just like magic, or escape. So you head into town, and I have to say the early 3D vibes are very strong in this game. There's something noticeably comfy about this town, basic though it is. Aside from whatever's going on here, this just makes me nervous. Control-wise, the best comparison I could make would be like Bubsy 3D, maybe? In both cases, when you turn the camera, it feels like your character is actually remaining stationary while the entire Earth rotates around them as a pivot point. So yeah, I'm at a complete loss. I've entered every house, talked to every person I could find, I'm just not really sure how to progress past the town, or even if you're supposed to. On top of healing items, you can also buy ingredients and cooking utensils, which piques my interest, but not enough to learn Japanese in a week. If I use my imagination, I would say that Grand Chef might be a slice of life, Harvest Moon type game where you cook or like run a restaurant or something. It seems that there actually is a mini game involved and you level up over the course of the story. While we're at it, why don't we just read the site's evaluation of the game as a whole and I can just plagiarize their thoughts. On the upside, the game is a fresh experience not caught in RPG common sense. On the downside, the city is too wide and you can easily get lost. To sum it all up, even if you don't touch the food, you might want to cook yourself after playing this game. Seeing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons game amidst the 3DO's RPG library is like arriving at summer camp on day one and running into the guy you sort of know from school. You're not really well acquainted and you don't necessarily think that you would get along, but it's kind of a relief just to see a familiar face. For those who don't know, AD&D is just the moniker taken by Dungeons & Dragons throughout the 80s and 90s. As tabletop RPGs became ubiquitous throughout nerd culture, the AD&D brand expanded to comics, novels, and video games. I've got a bit of negative bias towards the series since my only experience with AD&D was with an NES game called Heroes of the Lance. It's very bad. Slayer was developed by an Austin-based studio called Lion Entertainment. As the game opens, you'll watch some guy shuffle over to a door. Looks pretty cool. You're allowed to create your own character, and the options here are about what you'd expect for a full-fledged D&D game. You can choose your stats, race, and alignment. As far as I understand, there's no penalty for just maximizing everything, which is an odd design choice. In the interest of fairness, I went for the pre-made characters and jumped in. Like many games in the AD&D tradition, Slayer is a dungeon crawler through and through. You traverse each floor collecting loot and facing enemies before finding the exit and moving
Looks
on.
good.
In order to create dungeons, the game uses seed-based procedural generation, a pretty novel feature in console games at the time. You could theoretically play through Slayer a million times and have different dungeons to explore on each playthrough. I don't think you'd want to, since procedurally generated dungeons come with their own foibles, but you could. The combat is pretty basic. You equip a melee weapon, bow, or
pulled a
magic
combat
spell,
dagger that's
point in
a
the
bit better
direction
than
of the enemy and slap the shit out of
Maybe
that
it's
hit
that,
button while
actually.
hoping for the best. This is problematic for reasons too. First of all, combat is based on dice rolls. This is expected and wouldn't be as big an issue if not for the second problem. The hit detection sucks. I'm never sure if I'm just whiffing because I'm not passing a dice check or because I'm positioned one lousy pixel away from the right spot. I mean, how can you possibly expect me to defeat Xantar, the gelatinous cube, under these conditions?
Xantar is a gelatinous cube that eats warriors in a medieval village.
On top of that, the field of view is presented in glorious 4x3 glaucoma vision. I can tolerate field of view on the low side, but this is pretty
Glaucoma
brutal.
vision.
The controls are iffy as well. Just tapping that D-pad sends your view flying to the left or to the right. To compensate, you can actually hold down the left shoulder button to lower the rate of acceleration. The
They
right
had to put
shoulder
a
button is
DPI
held straight,
modifier
so if
on
you
the
want complete control
controller
of your character,
because they didn't know
you're
how to
basically gonna
fucking
be
do
dicking
controls
around
at
with
all.
every single button on the controller. It probably goes without
They didn't
saying
know how
that
to ask
sometimes
anybody,
you're
so
gonna
they
get
just
some
made
bad
up a
dungeon
solution.
seeds.
Add a
Rooms and
DPI
rooms
focus
without
on
enemies,
your
floors
bumper.
where the
Why
exit
not?
is right next to the entrance.
Oh my god.
15 items
I think I
sitting
could
on
have done
top of
better
each other,
at the
that
same
kind of
time
thing.
being
Well,
younger.
I prefer handmade dungeons. I can understand that for people who went into catastrophic debt to purchase a 3DO, if you can only afford one
Like my
game,
best friends.
you might as well make
Yep.
it one that, much like payments on your second mortgage, can be enjoyed in perpetuity. The game's got problems,
Yeah, I think
no
they
doubt, but
sold the
upshot of
edutainment
deal
thing
is
to
that
their
you can
parents
play
and
a
got
pretty
help with it.
feature-dense dungeon
I think they
crawler
were
on the
like,
3DO.
if I work
While
all
much more
summer at the
impressive and
Firewater Restoration
influential games
Company,
like Ultima
will you
Underworld
pay
and
for
The
the other
Elder
half
Scrolls
of my
Arena hadn't
edutainment
already been
video game
released,
console?
Slayer wouldn't
I think
feel
their
out of
parents
place
fucking
as a
fell for
computer
it
game.
too, I'm fairly
In fact,
sure.
having mouse
Both of
control
their
and improved
parents.
performance would alleviate some of the frustration. The inventory system, despite an overabundance of worthless loot, is intuitive and the auto map works well. With a few adjustments, I don't think it's outlandish to imagine this game having a cult following a la Dungeon Hack. That is, unless you ask Electronic Gaming Monthly, who saw ugly bad guys as the game's greatest weakness. They are ugly, that does make the game worse. Is AD&D Slayer a 10 out of 10? Certainly not. Can I picture myself as a child sitting cross-legged in a wood-paneled basement on a rainy Friday night, losing myself in its labyrinths? Unequivocally. After the release of Slayer, rumors began circulating on message boards. It seemed that Slayer was just a prototype and Lion Entertainment was hard at work developing a sequel that would blow everyone away. Wait till you see Deathkeep. I was blown away by the demo at E3, and I can't understand why it's not getting more attention. The wall textures were beautifully detailed, and I was able to climb steps, etc. 3D dwarves running towards the camera? Alright, Deathkeep, you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. Indeed, the long-awaited follow-up...
Deathkeep was supposed to be really
Why did I
good.
write that? Was I trying to be ironic? The follow-up to Slayer was Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Deathkeep. Right off the hop, you'll find they streamlined the character creation. Instead of being able to choose everything for yourself, you can pick from one of 3 pre-made characters. Dwarf Fighter, Elf Mage, or, for the radical centrist, Half-Elf Fighter Mage. Everything about this introduction just tickles me, like this weird face on the difficulty select screen. What emotion is being conveyed here? That's my face when the pizza man shows up. That's me opening the box and finding that they accidentally put salami on my vegetarian girlfriend's pizza. Oh no. And then that's me realizing that I've got 2 entire pizzas to myself. I mean, wouldn't it be a shame to let this go to waste? They've traded out the more traditional 2D cutscenes with pre-rendered 3D, and it's not the worst, but it's also not the best. Meet the mysterious skeleton loner with a body of bones and an arm for a boner. Starting the game up, it's immediately evident that Deathkeep shares many of Slayer's issues. The problems are mostly intrinsic since the games share an engine, although it seems like there have been some tweaks to Deathkeep. I'm not really sure what's going on here control-wise. Let's open the menu and see what's going on. I don't know if the exclusive pause screen jingle dethrones Legend of Dragoon, but it does give it a run for its money. The controls are pretty whack,
I remember that
but
Legend
there
of
are two
Dragoon Dragon
decisions
song,
in
it was
particular
good.
that are so baffling that whoever made them needs to publicly apologize 28 years later. First of all, the jump button is start. I'm playing on a Russian emulator called Phoenix, so I can remap. It causes some additional weirdness, but I'll cope. What I can't deal with is that the first level takes place in an ice cave. You just slip and slide all over the damn place, it's infuriating. Weirdly enough, it kind of brings the controls up to parity with Immercenary, but in a very horrible, unintentional way. Something I didn't mention is that in both of these AD&D games, you can't see your weapon. Functionally, it makes no difference either way, but it just makes the already floaty combat feel even less tactile. The only visual indication that you're swinging a weapon at all is this little cooldown crosshatch over the weapon icon. You can dual wield though, and by pressing B in combination with either hand button, you can cycle through items located in your pockets. Fundamentally, the biggest difference between Deathkeep and Slayer is the level design. Eschewing the randomly generated dungeons of its predecessor, Deathkeep's levels are handcrafted. The increased number of enemy types, weapon options, and linearity give the game more of an action focus. It definitely feels closer to Doom than, say, Ultima Underworld. Given the limitations of the engine, I actually prefer this quite a bit. Credit where it's due, some of the level design in this game is actually very good. Each stage is thematically distinct from the others, giving the game a level of variety that Slayer lacked. There's a lot going on outside the bland, flat terrain generated in the previous game. Winding corridors, slopes, stairs, and tons of hidden secrets make each environment feel more natural and exciting to explore. You lose a little bit of that dreary atmosphere that characterized Slayer, but in exchange, what you get is a game that is dangerously close at times to being enjoyable. One thing I absolutely could have done without is these
dangerously
platforming
close
sections.
to being enjoyable.
It's bad enough that someone looked at this game and thought, yeah, we can use some more platforming. There's so many of them. Each level has some bullshit that you've got to trudge through. Cross your fingers and hope that your jump input is recognized in one of the blistering 9 frames per second you perform it in. Though the game moves through levels in a linear fashion, you're allowed to keep all previously gained experience levels and equipment from the previous ones. The combat can still be pretty rough, but it feels like it's been slightly rebalanced to accommodate the action focus. I think it's just clear that Lion Entertainment had a better handle on 3DO hardware at this point. There's a lot of great visual details, the sprite work is by and large a big improvement, and the texture work really feels like it's playing to the system's strengths, using bold colors and simple designs. I've just gotta shout out the music. Every level I played had a solid original track, some of which are still in my head.
I love it when they do this stuff, they make really good music. Oh, this guy's good. Yeah, he's got a good sense of what I want to hear. It's like angels singing.
The sound design is just good across the board. The only problem is that the game presumably uses Red Book audio, so there's no looping. It just sort of abruptly cuts out and starts again, which becomes noticeable when you're lost in gigantic hour-long maze levels. Also, the noise that these soldiers make when you hit them is never not hilarious. As mentioned, the levels themselves are a big step up in terms of creativity, my favorite being the town. I love how they take a conventionally designed FPS level and turn it into a familiar environment. It feels natural to
What did I
traverse like
see?
an actual RPG town, but there's an ebb and flow to the design that lets you explore without feeling hopelessly lost. A lot of items need to be identified with a magnifying glass, and most will grant you some great bonuses, like being able to travel through lava without getting hurt, or granting you damage type resistances. Some of the levels are pretty huge, and I absolutely don't understand why they threw out the auto map from Slayer. It is sorely needed here, as despite the improvements, you just can't escape some samey looking rooms. I had to create landmarks for myself or leave breadcrumb trails with items to know where I've already been. It can be a headache, no doubt about it. Despite the problems, Deathkeep is a decent 3DO game. Again, it's tough to know where objectivity and dramatically lowered standards start and stop, but hopping back in to collect some more footage, I wasn't put off by the game. There was a Windows port of the game a year later, and you'd think it'd be an open and shut case in terms of playability, but it's really not. The PC version runs and looks worse if you can get it running at all. That's right, 3DO houses the definitive version of a multi-platform game. It doesn't undo the absolute travesty that is Doom 3DO, but it eases the pain a little bit. Full disclosure, I don't have much to say about Blue Forest's story. That's mostly because the game is entirely in Japanese, but also because the game is so generic that I just don't really know what to add. When the game opens up, you choose between one of two characters.
Yeah, but that was like
Let's
all of
try a
my
translation
10mm
app,
rounds.
see if I
just
can
to
make
kill them.
heads or tails of the plot. Well, it finally happened. At least not to learn from Susanna. Yes. Okay, I've got to have to do it before. From here to the shrine, the god of the forest. Deliver the offerings and ride. That one almost makes sense. As a reminder, don't steal and eat things. Let's see what the merchant has to sell here. Blade wheel, small swords, fang extraction, weak drugs, and easy? Unbelievable. Paywalling difficulty modes? That's low Blue Forest story. So yeah, I don't think the translation app is going to be a particularly reliable companion throughout my adventures here. Visually though, I can just see that the game has one of the most generic of JRPG openings. While playing the game, I wrote down a prediction based purely on what I could see. You play as a young person who has to make a pilgrimage to the shrine in the woods in some kind of a coming of age or like you're an adult now type ceremony. On the way there, goblins attack. I assume that goblins are an ongoing problem for the locals. The character uses latent superpowers to become a demon and defeats the goblins, but passes out and doesn't remember what happened. There's a time skip, our main character is stronger and cooler, the goblins are back, this time with some help from dark wizards. The main character becomes a demon again, this time conscious of it, showing his power level. The wizards scare the locals into believing that the main character is a monster, so he's imprisoned by the villagers. The cute childhood best friend frees the main character, but then his father or adoptive father is killed by angry villagers for supporting his own son. I'd love to tell you how I did, but I don't really know. If anybody can make heads or tails of this plot, or maybe if you've played Blue Forest story before, let me know. The game's graphics look pretty mediocre. There's a combination of pixel art as well as pre-rendered 3D sprites used on the overworld, and it just looks like two conflicting art styles. The entire time I was playing, I kept thinking of Zelda's Adventure on the CDI. I don't know who's on the raw end of that comparison. I will say that the character portraits look pretty good. It seemed like they had some kind of an art style in mind that didn't really translate to the top-down perspective. A PlayStation port would come out shortly after the 3DO, and most of the 2D assets appear to be of higher quality. In addition, the music in both versions is pretty good too. It has a similar problem to Deathkeep in that the tracks are too short and don't loop properly, but the quality is there. According to the few resources I dug up online, the game is very short. They try to make up for this by having two separate campaigns where you can get a look at either side of some conflict. The girl's opening seems like it could have been interesting. She's a prisoner somewhere, a love interest is killed, after a time skip she's a member of some resistance group. I also like how vastly different the opening is. Whereas the boy starts off in the generic RPG village, here it's more of a depressing industrial city. What really worked as a roadblock for me was the combat. It's a turn-based system that seems to have an emphasis on stances. There's an aggressive stance, a defensive stance, a counter stance, and you unlock more as the game goes on. Without knowing precisely what they do or what they're for, Even the starting area is very, very difficult to get through. Regardless, Blue Forest story doesn't seem to have such a sterling reputation among even those who did play it. It just screams average. From the area design to the animation work, it seems like an RPG Maker project of mediocre quality. If you were a 3DO owner in Japan circa 1996 and hard up for a traditional RPG, this probably would have gotten the job done. Man, is that a sad image. All the other kids getting PS1s with Final Fantasy VII, Suikoden. You're stuck at home with your 3DO, playing Blue Forest story. I'm depressed now. By this point in my 3DO journey, standards have been rearranged considerably. If a game I'm playing is featured in a YouTube video with over 2,000 views, I consider it popular. If it has a Wikipedia article, it's AAA. With that in mind, Robinson's Requiem was a summer blockbuster. Although I don't know if the game was released in summer because I can't find the release date anywhere. The 3D animation, buttery smooth. The acting?
You are about to experience thrilling and unforgettable moments.
Stunning. Desired level of expansion? Thick. Yup, I'm thinking it's Robinson time. Robinson's Requiem is a first-person survival game. The RPG elements are certainly on the lighter side, but hey, I'm trying to be thorough here. The user interface allows you to switch between character movement and cursor control, letting you interact with the world or rummage through your inventory. You'll start off with nothing and must accumulate resources and increase survivability by getting to know your small open world. You'll encounter other Robinsons, shake their hand, and then promptly kill them for their stuff.
Welcome to my holiday camp.
A knife can be used to cut leaves off trees, collect resin, scrape saltpeter off rocks, that kind of thing. As a game in current year, Robinson's Requiem is pretty difficult to play. As a product of its time, this game is downright visionary. I think it was the first survival game set in a 3D space, and the level of complexity on display here is both frustrating and damn impressive. Here are some notes about the world interactions I jotted down while playing. Your carry weight affects fatigue levels. You can develop sunstroke or other area-specific medical problems. You can craft a hat out of leaves to prevent sunstroke. There's a wide variety of first aid to be used situationally, including painkillers, anesthetic, and antibiotics.
Quinine and
In
stuff.
order to inject
That's
liquid
funny.
medicine, you'll have to fill an empty syringe first. Open wounds will become infected to varying degrees, forcing you to constantly scan yourself in the medical window. Injuries to eyes will affect vision. You can develop the flu if you sleep in a damp cave for too long. If your character is agitated or anxious, he won't be able to sleep. Some food is inedible and you'll only know by trying. Your heart rate will increase with physical activity such as running, and you can hear it in-game. These are just some of the things I noticed in my time with the game. I'm sure there's a laundry list of relationships between aspects of the game world. This game has been slept on, and unfortunately it's a bit too late to catch on at this point. Robinson's Requiem, again, isn't particularly enjoyable to play, but the vision the developers had for this world was so ahead of its time. I'm left wondering how it didn't receive the credit it deserves.
Yeah.
It can't strictly be related to the 3DO's popularity either, since it was also available on home computers. Survival games did exist prior to Requiem, games like Oregon Trail or
I remember
Wilderness is
Requiem. My
Survival
friend had a
Edition.
very high
Those
opinion of
focused on
Requiem.
delivering a high-level
Yeah.
overview of the survival experience. Robinson's Requiem forces you to contend with nature from the perspective of the survivor themselves. It really is a precursor to the experience we've come to expect from our survival games. I have massive respect for it. That said, it's not all fun and games. In fact, it's not fun at all. Interacting with the UI using a D-pad powered cursor feels like a battle all its own. You gotta drag that thing by the shirt collar over to the menu you want to use. Since the 3DO's controller has so few buttons, you'll have to rely on this on-screen interface for just about everything.
No,
the
thank
sound
you.
design is also highly minimal.
Star
but
Control
not
had
in
the
a good
same
way.
issue.
You'll get some generic ambient nature
But it's a
sounds,
really
a lot
deep
of things
game.
that should make noise remain completely silent. This is an unforgiving game. You'll often be taking a stroll before suddenly dying with no real understanding of what just killed you. Inventory management is also hell on earth. You don't have any real control over quantity until items are already in your backpack. Since it's real easy to become over-encumbered,
My God,
you'll
this
be
is
spending
fucking
a lot of time
bad.
slowly dividing or destroying individual items. There's also the FMV sequences. I guess it's a matter of opinion, but for me, these only elevate the experience.
Brother Epicurus like Jackie Dinosaur because he much talk, but not much do.
Ah yes, primitive woman just like I remember her, with a polyester leopard skin top from Sears and a permanent. I picked up the DOS version from GOG just for the sake of comparison, and there are some notable differences. First of all, the game is basically unplayable. This is high resolution mode, by the way. In the PC version, level geometry is drawn using voxels, while the 3DO version uses texture-mapped polygons. Voxels may have been more impressive and allowed for more natural-looking environments, but because of the low resolution in either version, the 3DO actually comes out on top here. The game isn't the looker at the best of times, but if you're using a modern display, there's just much less visual noise. Also, the PC version uses the numpad along with assorted other keys located on the opposite end of the keyboard, of course. It's pretty nice having cursor control with the mouse, but I don't know if the trade-off is worth it. I think Robinson's Requiem overall is worth a look. It'll take a special, dedicated type of person to make it all the way through the game. If I was making a video on Robinson's Requiem, I could become that person, but I'm not. I'm making a video about 3DO RPGs, and I just don't have the time to invest to see this thing through to the end. I don't know what became of designer Andre Rook, but for what little it's worth, I hope he's proud of his work. I feel like if it came out at the right place at the right time, it could have made a splash in the industry. But as it stands, Robinson's Requiem is an ambitious little footnote in the annals of video game history. However, the development studio Silmarils would release a follow-up 2 years later for Windows computers, called Deus. It came with Robinson's Requiem in a double pack from GOG, so I figured I'd check it out just for the hell of it, but man, if the previous game is tough to play, Deus is like getting kicked in the dick while reciting the names of all 195 countries. You might believe you can do it, but you realize it's actually pretty tough while it's happening. Unlike Requiem, which primarily used well-boarded 2D sprites for its environmental clutter, Deus is rendered in glorious 3D. There's like a creepypasta vibe or something about this game that makes me feel uneasy. It's just a barren environment. The game box has a picture of this mech with flamethrowers and shit or something, which I'm pretty sure is supposed to be misleading, but I guess it's possible that you get to pilot a mech before the game's over. Hey, hold up, rewind the tapes. Is that the same font that Elder Scrolls Battlespire uses in-game? The controls are absolutely atrocious, borderline unusable. You have to swing your weapon with light control while pressing specific keys on the numpad, or else your character
just say it, they're basically borderline war crime, a level of like aggression of bad, you know? Like
it's a successful assertion of
that
dominance,
bad, like
as
war
I quit
crime
the
level
game
of bad.
and never look back. While playing Seal of the Pharaoh, there were multiple times where my jaw unhinged and I jumped up from my desk in shock. There are games on this list that are weirder, but this game does not have license to be weird, and that's what makes it jarring. It's
okay, I found the Pharaoh horror
on the shortlist
goal.
for most visually boring games.
That's gonna ding me. Yeah, that dinged me. Nice.
Gameplay. In spite of that,
and
I kept finding ways to surprise me. I will try to convey as best I can the unadulterated
oh my god, I got a
experience
3-star
while
fucking melee.
First of all, 6 degrees of separation.
I'll take it. Oh, look, 50% damage to robots. Yeah.
On Seal of the Pharaoh
oh,
available.
I like it, yeah.
What I can tell you is that the game was developed by System Saycom. While mostly known as an electronics company, there was a period of time where System Saycom developed a handful of console games, one of which was a Sega Saturn game called Deep Fear. Deep Fear is directed by Rieko Kodama, who, of course, produced Skies of Arcadia, and whose career I covered in my previous video. Small world. Moreover, Seal of the Pharaoh was published by Panasonic, at least in North America. This marks the second example in the video of an electronics company dipping their toes into the video game software industry. Anyway, as mentioned, Seal of the Pharaoh is a dungeon crawler. This story has something to do with your character's father getting lost in a pyramid or something. I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell with this audio mixing.
Forced his way into the pyramid alone and never returned. He must fight the evil spirits to find him.
Ladies and gentlemen, take notes, this is how title screens are done. So you're dropped into the pyramid and the madness begins. First of all, many 3DO games have surprisingly decent soundtracks thanks to the system's superior sound hardware. Seal of the Pharaoh is not one of those games.
I've never gotten a 3-star melee this low before. But I mean, the legendary was so fucked up that I don't think I was supposed to beat him, so the game was like, alright, here's a 3-star.
Ah yes, ancient Egypt in
That's
all
awesome.
of its sonic glory. This 3-second loop never stops.
I stumbled on
That
the
is,
right
unless you press the C
ghoul
button on the
horde just by
controller,
luck.
which mutes the music.
Fucking awesome. Really easy level.
This might be the first game I've played where the developers were so confident that their music would drive people insane that one of the 3 accessible face buttons is a dedicated shut the fuck up command. Let me just throw in some kind of appropriate background music. There, that should be good. Like many early dungeon crawlers, Seal of the Pharaoh takes place from a first-person perspective. Movement is grid-based, meaning your character will shuffle from square to square and can only face 4 cardinal points. The reason for this being the game's pre-rendered visuals, which create sort of a mock 3D look. You're basically looking at multiple screen-sized GIFs that play in sequence depending on which direction you move in. Sarcastically, the game would be fun enough if it were just maze navigation, but being a hardcore RPG, there's combat as well. Easy to pick up but difficult to master, there's a little something for everyone. The combat has you mashing the attack button so your character can lob their weapon at whatever enemy you're facing. The battle system is real time, which sounds more impressive than it is. In reality, it seems that both the player and the enemy's moves are set to a flat timer. When the countdown has ended, you can attack with your weapon, use a healing potion, or toss a holy water. That's about the size of it. You stumble across these invisible consumables while exploring. It's not just a matter of walking to the right square, you also have to be facing the right direction while holding up on the D-pad to discover items. It's horribly annoying, but you start developing like a sixth sense for where items might be. Usually these big square rooms have stuff in them.
Listen to what I have to say.
I hope, if nothing else, you can now understand why I needed to make this video. As you progress to lower floors, the dungeons become increasingly complex
I knew
to navigate.
before I watched the video, I knew why, because I've seen all these
It
games.
shows you a layout
Not all
of
the,
the floor,
not the Korean
where
ones.
you
but
are.
seen the
Try
American
taking out
ones.
the map. You'll know where you are.
There are a lot of secret doors and hidden switches you need to activate, and it's never clear where they are.
I wish I had
Never
those
is.
gems.
There's nothing like bad games for
connected the
comedic
path.
value for
You're
me.
fine.
I think the funniest thing in history is bad games.
The frequency with which these strange 3D creatures arrive with these valueless interjections also increases.
You don't have the tear of Jeb?
It got to the point where I was just playing the game for hours to see what would happen next.
You will find the treasures in the rooms ahead of you.
I was going there anyway, but thank you. Oh no.
Do you have the flask of Tefnut?
I don't know what that means.
Let you go through.
Shut the hell up. The combat becomes increasingly grating as the game goes on. There are many reasons for this, not the least of which being that it's just boring. You get better weapons, but a lot of the enemies stay the same level. It's just a guaranteed one-hit kill unless you're asleep at the wheel. The monotony is exacerbated by the visual design of the game. It's horrid. I don't know how to describe it. It's stupefyingly bland. But don't take it from me, let's listen to some reviews from the game's release. If graphics made a game, Seal of the Pharaoh would score in the 90s?
If graphics
Wait,
made a
what?
game.
Unfortunately, however, there's this little thing called fun that you're supposed to have when you play a game. In Pharaoh, you simply find the stuff to beat a boss and move along, one step at a time. Bring the no-dos on this ride, 69 out of 100.
Bring the
Music gets a
no-dos
7.
on bring the no-dos on this ride. People wonder why I liked meth. It's because games suck and they're so fucking boring most of the time to get something actually done. Especially MMORPGs. And I loved meth because it just helped me play MMORPGs for 5 days.
This reviewer gave every aspect of the game a 10 before calling the game frustrating and boring, and then also gives it a final score of 69 out of 100. This one says the game screams quality on the surface. Okay, let's try a different magazine. Maybe GamePro knows what they're talking about.
Quality on the surface. Which is such a funny way. See, bad video games are so good for fucking comedy. There needs to be a video game comedian. I'm in the wrong racket. If I could just laugh at my own jokes, I think I would be famous, and I would just make a fun, like troll bad video games, because I think there's a whole element of the society they just crack up. Like, I think Seth Greensuch is needed. I mean, it's like needed. The bullshit that we put up with for the last 30 years. It's been like 30 years of just bad. It's been like 30 years of bad. It's like the comedic value of this is just endlessly hilarious to me. I just laugh, like, every time there's some hilarious 90s RPG that sucks dick in so many profound ways that you're just like, the reviewer's like, it's got quality on the surface. But what he really means is, like, it looks good on, like, he means that, like the initial time that you play the game, it seems cool.
Graphics.
And then, you know, but then past that, no value, no fun. No.
4 out of 5?
And people think that, like, it's weird. I would say past, okay, it's weird because it's like most like I would say a video game streamer wouldn't really know how to say it, or I say like a content provider maybe wouldn't say it right away, but I will say it. Like, since the 360, there's been like a standard of video game success. It's like a standard that we don't set, and there's no number, and there's no way to chart it or anything. It's just like a set of standards that makes a good or bad game, right? And even Gollum, while being a terrible game, right, or even Redfall, is still at least a playable game. I come up in this era, like 90s era, where you were lucky if like 1 in 10 games were good, and they were such rip-offs. And it was like, it's got better, but it's just funny that, you know, and this whole thing's rife for comedy. Like, I like it when they make fun of, like, I think there's really a lot of rife, like, this thing's rife for comedy. It definitely is. The whole, like, returning to piece of shit RPGs from the 90s and being honest about how really bad video games are even today. I would say even today, like, for instance, okay, like right now on Final Fantasy 11, I'm not using a mouse. I'm using my right hand on the arrow keys and my left hand on the WSAD keys to drive this character, and all my commands are Control 1 through 0 and Alt 1 through 0. See it? And like, that's how base this fucking RPG is, but it's so deep. It has so much shit. And it has such good music, and the graphics are better than old school RuneScape. They definitely are. You couldn't tell me differently. This game came out past old school RuneScape. You know, it was like, you know, these graphics are better than old school RuneScape. It's more engaging to watch the combat than it is old school RuneScape. And like, you know, and yeah.
Was Panasonic greasing their palms? Seal of the Pharaoh came out the same year as System Shock Arena and Doom 2, so please don't run defense for this game.
And the only game
Even
we're
the
playing,
reviewers
Doom
know
2,
it's
in the
lousy.
year that Doom 2
This guy
came out,
basically said
was
it
Doom
sucks and it
2.
looks
It's
bad
the
and he
only
gave it a
good
7
game on
out of 10.
PC.
I don't
Doom
know what
2.
else could be said about
When
Seal
Doom
of the
2
Pharaoh.
hit, we were like, oh my god, this is what's possible. I could just shoot up at demons up there, shoot up at demons down there, and there's shit flying through the air and stuff, and like, you know, and like, while it was like a little limiting, if you ran the IPU key like cheat code thing for God mode, and you ran like no clip, and you skipped through the puzzles and got to the combat, it was a supremely good shooter for it's still a good shooter today. It's still a good shooter today. It's not an amazing shooter, but it's a good shooter. And even by today's Fortnite standards, you can still have some fun with Doom 2. It's very, very, very satisfying to launch like 7 rocket launchers into a fucking room full of skeletal fucking dudes and just watching all the fucking bones fly, you know? That never gets boring, you know? It's never been boring.
Yet, because it doesn't adhere to any kind of convention, it hides absurdity around every corner. That reason, and that reason alone, is why I kept playing. I just had to see what kind of enemy would show up next.
You have to see what kind of bad is gonna show.
For an ass. Yep. What kind of cryptic, unsolicited advice will it
This was my experience with Earthbound, and I hated Earthbound when I first played it. I was like, oh my god, this game is so bad. This is a Squaresoft game. I was like, oh my god, how is this game so bad? And then I went back a second time, and I was like, wow, this is one of the best games on the system. It's weird. My initial reception, though, after playing Final Fantasy VI, was like, wow, Earthbound sucks dick. And it did, because it just wasn't Final Fantasy VI. It didn't have that kind of depth. It didn't like morph itself. It didn't have a cataclysm halfway through and change the entire world and into something else with entirely different mobs and all this. Like, that was what was so crazy about 6. Is like 6 is still technically the best Final Fantasy, because halfway through, the mode 7 overworld becomes an entirely different world with an entirely different beastry, with an entirely different set of levels and an entirely different set of loots and all this other stuff, right? So think if, like, what would happen. This was so monumental for its time. It's why Final Fantasy 6 and 7 are still lauded as the best RPGs ever made. Is because like 7 didn't do that, but 7 was like, you know, we just never really had a leap like we've had like 7. And 6 had a cataclysm. We did have it in World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft did it, like World of Warcraft did what Final Fantasy VI did. Everybody was like, Blizzard's so smart for doing the cataclysm, and it's such a smart move and all this, and it's so genius. The whole world broke and everything's changed, and I've seen women cry over their zones being on fire and stuff like that, and the world tree burning and all this. And it's like, yeah, it was brilliant, but I mean, we saw that in Final Fantasy VI like 25 years ago. Just saying, or whatever. Yeah, like 25 years ago now. About year 2000, somewhere around there. A little bit older than that, like 96 or something like that. Like 29 years ago or something like that. And so, like, yeah, like that whole cataclysm thing where you change, like, the whole world into something else and change everything in it is a really good cop-out to completely resell your entire game again. And we don't get it enough. I wish they would do it more. You know what would have made Bloodborne really fucking amazing? I've always thought this, and I wanted to write an email. I remember thinking this, like, 5 years ago when I beat Bloodborne, and I beat Dark Souls 3 on the PC. Or, so I didn't beat Dark Souls 3, but I got really, really far. And I was thinking, like, From Software, at the end of the Bloodborne, they should have let the brain virus win, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's like the beast blood disease or whatever. They should have let the beast blood disease win, and they should have quadrupled the mobs, and they should have changed the colors of the world, and they should have made it super light, but all the mobs dark and all this, and they should have cataclysmed all of Bloodborne. I felt they should have done this with Elden Ring. Like, there were some really cool parts in Elden Ring where you're like in this crazy fucking zombie place, you know, full of dead stuff and dead abomination stuff, and like, I was like, oh, that's so cool, but like, they should show the holy side of this. You get what I'm saying? Like, oh, in the desert, it should suddenly be completely underwater except for some land jutting out. In the water should be land, and you know, then the whole world should change, you know. But it's the same game, same system, same mobs, but just, you know, reshaded. Another thing I've always thought that they should do, that they really fundamentally fucking failed at, right? So you see this skeleton that I'm fighting here, right here, Lost Soul, right? Great mob. We can pull the bestiary on the Final Fantasy XI, and I adore this mob. I think this is one of the greatest monsters ever made in the history of RPG gaming, is this mob right here, the Lost Soul. It just has a great name, it has a great look, it has a great moveset, it's nasty, it's got spells, it's, you know, it's a crazy, you know, it's a crazy mob, you know. FFXI is a nasty skeleton. You can throw cure spells on him and do damage to him. Like here, I can. Well, yeah, I guess I can. I can throw a cure 2 on him, and it's gonna do like 5 damage. It won't do anything, but it'll be some damage, right? I can cure him because he's a skeleton. He has a lot of RPG, like, you know, like really RPG element stuff that even World of Warcraft is scared to do. Like, for instance, curing a skeleton. Like, what I've never understood about World of Warcraft is Priest was undervalued, and so was Shaman and Druid, because we should be, like in Dungeons and Dragons, Cleric is revered as the best class, because it has these things like Turn Undead and all these other, like, crazy nifty things for dealing with skellies. And in 11, you can, like as a white mage, we were undervalued because technically, and also Squaresoft kind of mishandled the numbers a bit, because you can't do a lot of damage that you can. I mean, you can with like 5 white mages, you can do a lot of damage to skeletons. Actually, you can do like you just chain cure 5s with white mages. I've seen it before. You can do cure cleave. It is possible. It's an example of how 11's a better game than WoW, because like they shut out healers in WoW from being able to do undead damage at a higher level than everybody else. That's how it is in every fundamental RPG that I can think of, from Dungeons and Dragons on down to, you know, anything that's real, like D&D's like that, Warhammer's like that, good Final Fantasies like that, but you don't see it ever, but you do see it sometimes. Like if you go play Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles and you have a dark elemental and you're casting Holy, that's gonna fuck that dark elemental up really, really bad. If you're on a fire elemental and you cast like, you know, Blizzard 4, you're gonna do a lot of damage to that fire elemental, and that is usually there in the Final Fantasy games, but it's not embraced the way that it should be. And so we can pull the bestiary on this skeleton, but where I'm going with this is like like this is a classic monster, and he's got a move set that he does, and they have certain things that they do. And they're weak to fire and light and blunt, and they're strong to ice and dark and slashing. So you can't like cast Demi on this thing, which is a dark spell that cuts their health bar in half or shit like that. And so people think of like Final Fantasy XI as this failed WoW or something like that. But no, it's just Final Fantasy on an overworld. That's all it is. It's Final Fantasy on a real overworld, you know? As opposed to, like, random encounter. I mean, they are random encounters. Like, these are random encounters. That Lost Soul has a timer. He'll respawn in 5 minutes. It's essentially a random encounter. But I mean, he has presence in the real world, and he aggroes like an MMO. But I mean, like, there's no difference between Final Fantasy XII, which was a successful game in Japan and mostly in America. And you know, and there's no difference between 12 and 11. There's like no difference. I can't think of one. You can't gambit in 11. Oh, I mean, you can. I mean, really, you can. No, you can though. You can though. I mean, it's easier. It's easier to do it in 11. It's called macros. Like, so I can do a chain like this, where I tell my character to cast Protectra 2, Shelra, Aquaveil, Blink, Regen, all in the same one button press. And so, I mean, that is the same thing as Final Fantasy XII's Gambits. It's like essentially the same thing. There's like no difference. And so, like, we've had like some form of 11 for a long time. Oh my god, did you land it? Yeah, now he's gonna hit me. That's okay. Get the tiger out. It's just dumb not to have him. But I don't want you to run your roar. Yeah, don't roar. So yeah, so I'm hurt, but I'll just fix it. See, that's a macro, and it's like the same thing as Gambits in 12. So, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying, like there's depth to resistances. Okay, to RPGs, to me, people struggle with the idea of RPGs and what it means to them. I'll tell you what RPGs mean to me. They're the resistances and the damage calculation on random, RNG swings that are determined by dice rolls that calculates your crit and your hit and your ability to resist and your target's ability to resist and all this other stuff. And 11 is very good at all that stuff. It's very good at it. There, he landed a 60-second sleep because in this game, that's not actually that crazy of a premise, like losing control of your character for an entire minute. Because the game's slow and it's, you know. Anyways.
Go up to bless me with.
If you use the golden axe in the next room, you will break my spell.
Shut up, you. I don't care.
What did he mean by this? Just when I thought the game had shown me everything, something so zany happened that I had to keep going. This is why, despite the fact that Seal of the Pharaoh is the worst game on today's list by most metrics, I consider it to be essential 3DO. It has all the right ingredients: extremely obscure, baffling design, atrocious presentation, and unintentionally hilarious. It rides the line between boring and enthralling, but the latter just wins out for me. It's often stated that so bad it's good is easier to come by in movies than games, but if such a thing does exist in gaming, I believe Seal of the Pharaoh is Exhibit A.
Oh yeah.
Coming at us
so
from
okay,
Japanese
so
developer-
I remember now what I was gonna say. So I pulled the. You can see that this Lost Soul, right? So I was gonna try to make a statement about the industry that I didn't finish, right? And I'm gonna finish it now. So something that the industry got later, but I wouldn't say still does very well, is they can easily entertain us in the RPG scene with mob variety through changing the color of the mobs. So here's an example of colors: green, red, and blue, representing Windurst, Sandoria, and Bastock. Why not make the skeletons in that area that color? Blue skellies in Bastock, red skeletons in Sandoria, etc. Red goblins in Sandoria. That would have added a lot of replayability and a lot like it would have wore us a lot less thin. Mob variety is a serious problem in RPGs. You're always fighting the same. I would say, okay, how many mobs are in RPGs? It's not that many. It's gonna be probably, I don't know, like probably 2 million or something like that. It's not that many. There's like 2 million mobs probably in known RPGs. It's a lot, It would take a long time to look through pictures of all of them, It would take forever. But I mean, like but in terms of actual like massive quality of artwork and stuff, we don't have that many mobs and that many RPGs. It just doesn't happen. So one of the ways they can get around that is they should change the color all the time. Like, this is a black ghost, but he should actually be gray depending on his difficulty level and what he means to you, and the scarier he is, the darker the color he should be. And some games have gotten pretty good about that, getting better at it, but there's like core principles that they can't seem to grasp, that they should have grasped way back then in like the year 2000 for the Super Nintendo era, like changing colors on mobs and stuff like that. And then you begin to realize that no matter how much money they dump into the modern era and the PC and the next gen and the new games and all this and game development, they're never gonna be fucking perfect. They were fallable. Like, I'm sorry, they're like open to criticism. I'm saying they let themselves open to criticism on stuff like mob variety and changing the color of the mobs. Like this Lost Soul, they could easily have done red, blue, yellow, purple ones. There's at times they did do this, But I mean, they didn't do it enough. They needed to do it a lot more. Like that, like the elementals are nice, but like they should have different shades depending on how dangerous they are to you. Because one of the beautiful things about this game is every single mob is entirely different. And now there are copies of mobs because they just randomly rolled the same stats. Because the mob can only be it spawns somewhere between 2 levels lower than you or 3 levels higher than you, and it can't be anywhere lower or higher than that. Because there's only a 5 level range, you know. And so generally, if you're XPing on something like ice elementals, notice this ice elemental is level 48. I'm level 56, so it's a little bit more than that. It's like 4 to 8 levels, something like that. But if you want XP still, you have to be between around 4 to 8 levels. In each 1 to 2 levels, you see a significant change in difficulty. And we call this easy prey, decent challenge, tough, very tough, incredibly tough. 5 levels, and that represents essentially the 5 levels between you. So if the mob's 5 levels higher than you, it's going to be incredibly tough, and the likelihood of you killing it is 0. I would say it's 0. You definitely cannot solo in anything incredibly tough. That cannot happen. VT is possible if you run all your buffs and all your food, and you have a pocket healer. You could definitely kill a very tough by yourself, but it would take 5 minutes. And incredibly tough, you're just going to die even with a healer, maybe, because it's going to hurt you so bad. You can't tank mobs like that easy. So, especially if they alpha strike or whatever. So when you understand that they don't see how there's always the same blue crab all the time. There's always a blue crab in this game that I'm fighting over there. Those blue crabs, they should have been blue, purple. They should have been all the colors of the fucking rainbow. And when they spawn, they should have a particular color. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be mauve or yellow or piss-looking one or brown or whatever. That should have been something they did. But they can't even get mob innovation like that in 2024. You begin to understand that they aren't particularly good at this. They aren't particularly good at doing this. When they make good games, it's like they get lucky and they just happen to dump enough money into it or do enough time and work on it and love it so much that they wanted it to be good and all this. But generally, it's very rare when it's actually truly good, and it's kind of luck. It's almost luck, I would say. And every game that I can think of that I've ever played has horrible game-breaking flaws. Maybe not like Tetris, puzzle games, stuff like that. Racing games are fairly okay. They're always going to be about the same sort of experience, you know. There's a couple of genres that you don't really have to mess with. I would say XCOM 1 was technically perfect, you know. I don't like XCOM 1, but I still think of it as a 10. I think of it as a perfect game that should have been in people's top 20 of all time lists. And Tetris should have been like that, and Dr. Mario should have been like that. There was Yoshi's Cookie was a top 20 game of all time. Skyrim's the top 20 game of... Skyrim's the top 20 game of all time, but only because it's all these games combined. It's just Bethesda, all of Bethesda's games combined. Technically, the game that really was the game that makes Skyrim the best RPG of all time, technically, was really Daggerfall, you know? I kind of want to play Daggerfall because Daggerfall seems kind of more my vibe. I think it's actually more dungeon grinding than it is stupid-ass lore stuff. And I wonder maybe if Daggerfall might actually be my vibe more, but it's so base. But I don't mind base. Look at me play this Final Fantasy game like it's RuneScape. I mean, I don't know. I don't mind base, you know? I really don't.
Cabin is Guardian War, a tactical RPG published by the Matsushita Electric Corporation.
Matsushita Electric.
That sounds familiar.
Fishbowl.
I know there's been a lot of confusion, so I just want to state unequivocally that the Masashi Kato who designed Guardian War is not the Olympic swimmer. Please stop emailing me about this. An ancient evil has taken over the world, so the player takes control of a guardian awakened by a goddess with the goal of defeating said evil. You might remember my description of Ukoku no Grand Chef as Camelot at home,